I couldn't get a work permit, so I couldn't get a job. So I hit up those obstacles. I'm 19 years old, cannot work, cannot drive, can't get student loans, but I put all of my emphasis into school, right? And that, because I found out that I could create my own company with, even though I wasn't American, I could create my own company. And instead of companies paying Diego Corzo, they paid my company. That is how I was able to gain experience.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Hale, and this is Point of Impact. Is your self-talk subconsciously limiting your potential? Have your excuses, maybe even unknowingly, turned into your normal, into the standard? How often do you say, I have to, versus I get to? These are some of the insights and many more our guest today is shared. And he is one of those guys who lives the zero excuses lifestyle. In fact, he started from zero and has become a multimillionaire. And I'm talking not even able to get a driver's license because he didn't have a green card. Diego Corzo started off as one of those dreamers, an undocumented DACA immigrant. He found a way. In fact, he found an education. He got his degree. He got a job, became an entrepreneur, started investing in real estate, joined masterminds, and has created one. He's also becoming an author. In fact, Diego Corzo has been featured in Forbes and has a TED Talk and so much more. We cover quite a bit about this, but I met Diego when we were both in Maui. And he had the ability to get out of his comfort zone and guide me on it. For the first time, guiding a blind person on a full 5-mile run. And while on that run, we had an incredible conversation. He's a terribly insightful and very smart guy. So he's going to share how he's gone from zero to limitless and how you can too. Before we get into it, I ask you, please share this episode, subscribe to the podcast, and subscribe on YouTube. Give it a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff, and share with others. That's how we can get guests like Diego out to audiences. Those people who are trying to get rid of their limiting beliefs and get rid of their excuses and start finding solutions, just like Diego. So, without further ado, my conversation with Diego Corzo. Diego, my friend, welcome to the show.
Aaron, thank you very much for having me here. Really excited.
Well, I've been looking forward to this for actually a very long time. You've been on a number of podcasts. I think I heard of you first, Bigger Pockets, and most recently, Action Academy with Brian Lubin, A Better Life with Brandon Turner. In fact, that's where we've met in person for the first time and got to do maybe one of my most favorite conversations on a 1-hour run. That was a great time. And I found it to be just as insightful a person in person as you are in your podcast. So, you have just an incredible story. You're taking everybody's excuses away. And I want to get into all of it. But first, for those who might be feeling in a rut or want to get to that next level or want to get into the room with all those higher echelon people, those that are, finding success. What advice do you have for them?
Yes, I would say for anybody that wants to get into those rooms that maybe they think that it might be impossible to get in, or limiting beliefs that they have that they may not be enough, I would say a couple of things. One of them being like a lot of people might say, hey, why me? Right? Why me? Or like, I don't deserve this. The feeling of them not deserving a level of success. And I would switch that up to why not you? Right? Or why not me? And it's something that I learned throughout my journey. But when I was 23 years old, I found myself in a room with 12 millionaires where you had to be a millionaire to be to be in that room. But in my head, in my mind, in me surrounding myself with them, I had already become a millionaire. I just didn't have the money showing up in my bank account yet. And that is what gave me that mindset for me to be like, you know what? I do have some limiting beliefs, or I may not have I may not have what they think is the qualifications to be in that room right now, but I know that I can provide value. And I think that that was also the other unfair advantage that allowed me to be in. Like once I got in, I told them a little bit about my story. I told them a little bit about the me being able to be in that room and sharing with them some unfair advantages that I can bring to the table and help them out.
Well, first, I do want to ask you, there's a common theme with people who find success, who get through, change their habits, change their lifestyle, is the I am versus the I'm trying. So you got out of that room first by believing, right? Resetting the framework, that mindset. Who is it? James Clear, the Atomic Habits. People who are trying, people who are quitting smoking say, I don't smoke, rather than I'm trying to quit. I'm a non-smoker. And today is day one. Or you said, I'm a millionaire, before you had the dollars in the bank account. And that's there's a perfect mindset. You're doing, and you're living the lifestyle. You're living the belief, the mindset. So you said you were adding value to those, in that room. The heavy hitters, the big players, those that have already found the success you're seeking. How did you add value to the people who have what you want?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. And it comes up because of I knew that if I could create value, right? I didn't know. So at that point, my net worth was $25,000. And imagine I'm in this room at David Osborne's house. At that point, he was worth $40 million. Now he's worth around 200 million. But what's crazy is that in order for you to be in that room, you had to be a millionaire, and you were sharing how you got connected, who did you know in this room, and what your net worth was, and what did you do. So imagine people are introducing themselves and they're worth 10 million, 5 million, 2 million. When they come to me, I'm like, my name is Diego. I'm a software developer at General Motors. I just got my license to be a realtor. I'm looking to invest in real estate, and my net worth is 25,000, right? They laughed a little bit and they were like, who let this kid in? But from my perspective, if I wanted to provide value, the one thing that I knew that I could do was using some tech skills that I had, because they didn't have as much tech skills. But number two, I had time in my hands, and I was a connector, right? So I was a connector, and in me being able to get to know the other guys that were part of this mastermind group, I began to connect them with other people that were also part of the mastermind group, because I showed up to events. I did what I had to do. I volunteered my time in the beginning to, like, anybody that joined that group would have to do an introduction call with me, and I would write up their introduction. So now when people are like, hey, who else should I know in this group? I connected them. So then later I became valuable with my unfair advantage from the perspective that if they wanted to talk to other people, they wanted a resource, they would ask me first. I will be the one that comes up in their mind, and then I connect them. And that was my unfair advantage with those guys.
I tell you what, I hate having to say a cliche as your network is your net worth, but there's so much truth to that, is that it's a superpower. To being able to connect people is just like solving a puzzle, right? You've got these pieces and you put them together, and once you form the pieces together, incredible things happen. So it's something that anybody can do at any level. And on the other thing, you had IT skills, right? You were a web designer, and maybe this is a good segue into backing up and starting from where you came from. But we all have these. We all have abilities, talents, and knowledge in something to add, something to give.
Yeah. And what's really good, and I'll share this with the value that I gave, but the interesting part is that by me joining that group, right? At that point, my net worth was $25,000. Fast forward 6 years later, when I turned 29, I became a millionaire, right? And it was because I was surrounded with those guys, and I did everything that they told me, and I provided as much value as possible to them. They wanted to mentor me. So by me giving part of my time and my skills and everything, I was able to build a relationship with them that they also mentored me. And I knew that I just had to build the habits to let time do its part and gain momentum. Whenever that happened, then I became a millionaire, and that helped me all throughout that journey. But to go back as to the skills that I got, I went to school at Florida State University for information technology and management information systems. And but I am what Congress calls a dreamer and a DACA recipient. So basically means that I am undocumented, right? So even though I went to college and everything, I couldn't qualify to get a job until after the Obama administration created the DACA program. So my family and I came to the US when I was 9 years old, from Lima, Peru. We came here with a visa, with a tourist visa, but then we decided to overstay, and that's when we became undocumented. And it wasn't until I turned 15 years old that my mom, when I was on the way to get my driver's license, I go there, 15 years old. I give them the documents that I thought were required. They said, Diego, you're missing some. You don't have a green card, and I couldn't qualify to get a driver's license. That was the first obstacle. Then when I turned 18 and I was going to go to college, I found out that I couldn't qualify for student loans or financial aid. So I had to get creative, and but I was still able to go to college with some money that I had saved, my parents, and also just one scholarship that was based on merit, because I graduated third in my high school class. And that is how I was able to go to college the first year. And I studied information technology and management information systems. So I was able to learn how to make websites, began doing some software development. And what that got me was an internship where I was working for free. And then they wanted to hire me. And at age 19, I found out I couldn't get a work permit, so I couldn't get a job because I was missing the documents from immigration. So I hit up those obstacles. I'm 19 years old, cannot work, cannot drive, can't get student loans, but I put all of my emphasis into school, right? And that, because I found out that I could create my own company even though I wasn't American, I could create my own company. And instead of companies paying Diego Corzo, they paid my company. That is how I was able to gain experience. So when I look back and connect the dots, I'm like, man, I was able to help these millionaires with my IT skills, but it all came from me saying yes to these opportunities that came to me, of not giving up. And instead of looking at myself as a victim, I decided to take more the empowerment mentality and figure out a way. And that is one thing that I know that both you and I have, is that skill of resourcefulness, of whatever life throws at us, we are able to figure out a way to make it happen, right? To get to our destination, to not let our circumstances define our future. And that is what a lot of people, they get stuck because they see their circumstances and they don't have the vision big enough to help them get to where they really want to be. And, but with me, as I was mentioning, as I look back, it was those skills that I got, and me wanting to get my degrees and my IT degree and my MIS degree, that I was able to finally, at the age of 22, Obama passes the DACA program and I can finally work and drive legally in the US. So that was when General Motors hires me, and I go from Florida State I moved to Austin, Texas, and I became a software developer for General Motors. And that's where I got the skills to be able to help the GoBundance guys for a little while I got started in real estate and all of that. And I was in corporate America for 2 years before I went all into real estate full time, which is what I do now.
Well, there's so much right there. First, how long have you been driving on American streets?
On American streets for the last 11 years, I would say. 11 years. 11 years.
When you said 21, I thought you meant 2021. I'm like, wait a second. I was in the car with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, right? That would be crazy.
But you just gave me reason number 1291. Reason to become an entrepreneur is to become sure, I'm losing my ability to speak. Reason 1291 for becoming an entrepreneur is to become an American citizen and actually making a living. That's fantastic. But I was listening throughout what you were just talking about, that journey there, and there were so many points along the way where you could have just, you ran into a barrier and you could have shrugged your shoulders and said, all right, I guess this is my place, or this is my fate. But you didn't accept that. Now, where did this tenacity come from?
That tenacity has come from seeing, is what I call like the immigrant advantage. I would say the immigrant advantage of seeing my parents work their butt off, work so much to be able to create a better future for my brother and I. Seeing their work ethic, their resourcefulness, their perseverance, like they are my why. And they are the reason why I do what I do. So that has actually helped me whenever I hit up those challenges, those obstacles. I'm like, okay, my parents have had it harder than I have, right? Because they went through all of this and they had to learn a new language and they left all of their family in Peru. And they basically had to start from scratch. So I know that for me, it's not that, like, I know it is challenging and stuff here and there. But I know that there's always a way, right? And the US is the land of opportunity. It is up to us to find it. And I've come more from the resourcefulness from the perspective that there is always a way to do something in the US. We just have to work a little bit harder to make it happen. And you have to decide, right? Like, you have to decide that it's up to you, taking 100% responsibility, and it's up to you to make it happen.
Yeah, that's like my friend Eric Weinmeier calls the adversity advantage, right? It was a hard times make strong men make Easy times make weak men make hard times. And when you have some sort of adversity, say, your immigration status, and you have roadblocks, you become more of a solutions-minded person. You're looking for any way to find your way to success, and you don't take excuses. You just look for solutions, look for answers. You turn excuses into reasons, lessons to learn and to move on, adapt and overcome. And I think that's fantastic. And you're right that I've known quite a few immigrants, people who come from other countries. They find I don't know if you've seen the same thing, that they have a stronger work ethic because they have, uh, they were dealt the same cards as native born Americans or naturalized Americans.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, for example, like we grew up, um, like when you start from zero, right? There is no, like, the only way that you can go is up. And a lot of people, throughout this, they begin to get complacent and they just think that being okay is okay, right? But it's not great. It's like, and people are not willing to do what it takes sometimes to get out of their comfort zone to get to great. Because living an okay life is not bad, right? It's not bad. It's good. You can say, hey, this is a good life. It's an okay life. But if you want to get to the excellent life, like to like reach your true potential and everything, you do have to go out of your comfort zone, and that is going to bring challenges too, right? A lot of people think like, oh, just because you become a millionaire, you have no problems. It's actually the opposite. There's a lot more issues now that you have to solve. As you like more money, more problems, right? No, but from the perspective of being able that now you have to learn a different set of skills because you're solving different problems, right? So the idea here is like, who do you have to become that person that you really want to get to be, right? If you want to become a person that runs a marathon, you have to be a runner that is training, that long distance training, doing whatever they have to do to become a marathon runner. And you have to do what it takes. Some mornings, if you're waking up and you have to do 18 miles for training, sure, it is uncomfortable. Maybe you had to say no to a couple of things the night before, right? So you do have to sacrifice a little bit to become that person that you really want to be. And I feel like some people are okay with not doing those sacrifices. And even though that is fine, they'll see that if they do some sacrifices, that they will really get to reach their true potential, because they will be able to figure out things that they didn't know they had inside of them as they go through that journey.
No, you got to put the work in, every single day. And it's surprising when I look back how, what I thought was hard work, because the harder I worked, the easier the work I did seems. And then the easier the hard work that I'm doing today becomes. And then the more hard work I can do tomorrow. But it's all about a matter of perspective, right? You got to get out of that comfort zone. You got to give up good. You got to sacrifice good to get to great. And I totally agree with that. Sacrificing your comfort and getting uncomfortable situations, because that then becomes your comfort zone, and you keep expanding it more and more. So, Dawn, speaking of expanding your comfort zone, you went from at the IT field to maybe making quite a name for yourself in real estate. How did you get from point A to point B?
Yeah, so that's been an incredible journey, and it all started with me reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was 21 years old when I read it. My buddy Pascal threw me that book, and I read it. It changed my mindset on how I view money, how I wanted to build wealth. And that book basically gave me that extra edge for me to continue to learn about personal development and building wealth in real estate. As that happened, of course, that book teaches you that you should trade, that you can either trade your time for money or make your money work for you. And in between that time, I was like, okay, once I graduate college, I'm going to get a job, save as much money as I can so that then I can put it into assets that are going to make me passive income. That was the goal. So I was able to buy my first house when I was 20, my first house hack property, as I call it. And I can explain what that means. But basically, by this time I had become a realtor part-time because I wanted to increase my income and I wanted to learn about real estate because this was in Austin, Texas. And when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. I had no knowledge about the market. I had no knowledge. I didn't know like the streets or anything yet. It was brand new. So I figured that if I can become a realtor, I could learn on later on what I need to do to invest. So, and I can make some money selling homes. So I was able to do that. And I was able to buy a house when I was 24, still working at GM, me being a part-time agent, putting 5% down on this property in North Austin. And I was able to live with 3 other roommates, and the mortgage payment was covered by their rent payment. So I've been living for free since I was 24 years old. And by putting less than $10,000 for this house, $10,000 down, and I was able to replicate that process once a year. Until then, my realtor business increased. I was able to leave corporate America. That's where I met the Go Abundance guys, my mentors. And then now, fast forward years later, I own around 63 doors. I'm also in 4 syndications. And then I have a realtor team between me and a business partner, and we sell around 250 homes a year. So it's been quite a journey throughout this process.
Tell me more about the Go Abundance Mastermind, because this is the tribe of millionaires that was mentioned. It was highlighted in the book Tribe of Millionaires, and so many people I know speak so highly of it and have done very well for themselves because of it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So that is basically a mastermind that, as I mentioned earlier, you have to be a millionaire to be part of, but it changes the conversations and the standards in how you like the standards of what you can achieve, right? Because there's guys there that are worth like 2 million, 10 million, 20, 50 million, 100 million. And the whole goal of this, yes, money is what gets you in the door, but the whole goal is to be a millionaire in all areas of life. Not just in money, but in relationships, because you don't want to be that overweight guy that has been divorced 3 times. Their kids don't speak to them. Their employees think that he's an asshole, and you don't want to be that guy, right? So the idea here is that, yes, the money gets you in the door, but you want to be a millionaire in all areas of life. And for me, is that group, that tribe, has increased my level of performance too, of what I know that I can achieve, because that has become the norm, where it's common for people to make a lot of money, right? To grow their businesses, to help a lot of people, and not be afraid of not afraid, but like, not be afraid about what other people will say about you if you share a couple of your wins, right? Because other people can get entitled of, by you sharing, maybe you made $50,000 in 1 month, and then you tell that to a close friend from high school or college, and then now they're like, oh, lucky you that you get to do that and I don't. And then they look at you like you should be paying for their meals for the next 2 months or something. And the whole idea here is that they create an environment where you don't have to apologize for being awesome, for being you, for succeeding. And the best part too is that one of the pillars is contribution. So you also get to help other people too in many different ways.
One of the things I love about the organization, the group, this mastermind, is they just completely do away with excuses, right? You get into small groups, you each week with these calls, and sometimes with the hot seat calls, uh, you, you have these in the in-person meetings as well, where you go through your successes, your challenges, and you talk about the difficulties, not because you want to use them as an excuse for failure, but to find solutions, bring the challenges to the group so the group can help. And often, I love this is because, it's similar to, was it the Quaker, uh, Clarity Council, where somebody has a challenge, they bring it to the council, and the council simply asks questions to help bring clarity to a situation, not to form an opinion or to give their own biased advice, just to ask questions about the problem so they can explore it together. And that's one of the great things about masterminds in general, and of course, Go Abundance, is that that's it, it's uh, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? We're all stronger together, and you're definitely an example of not just success because of it, but adding value to the whole. And in fact, definitely enjoyed your Dawns with Diego calls. But tell me, where has it led you personally and professionally?
Man, so I mean, overall, professionally, let's say, I mean, it has helped me in a huge way in everything that I do now. So, as an example, I have my own mastermind group through my brand and everything. The guys help me share my story more. So I've been able to share my story, create a brand for myself. I have the FI Investors Mastermind group where I coach people how to get started investing in real estate or scaling their real estate portfolio. So on the professional side, they help me by me investing and everything. I gain that knowledge. Their belief in me allow me to share my story, inspire others, and that has been one aspect. And then of me being able to have my own mastermind, sharing my TED talk, and then being like not being afraid of public speaking and sharing my story. I think that that has helped me a lot. The other one is my realtor team. I've been able to ask a lot of the guys throughout the journey, different stages that I'm in. They were the ones that gave me the accountability to make my first hire in the group, then to continue to grow my business and having conversations like, what if an agent potentially wants to quit the team, for example? It's like, okay, well, how do we, if those agents are, as an example, an empire builder, then our vision needs to be even bigger so that they can continue to grow in our vision as well. So a lot of it, things that I've gotten from the Go Abundance guys too, and everything has been me being able to think at a bigger scale, and me being able to just get accountability that helps me do the things that I want to achieve without creating excuses. And that's been a huge thing. That's been a huge thing. And seeing opportunities, investing, building relationships with others and partnerships. I believe that figuring out, for example, as I've been able to grow my real estate portfolio, I feel like they've shown me the different ways to scale and to leverage the right way. And that's been great. And now that's what I do in my teachings. Like when I teach on either like Instagram, through my followers, or my mastermind group, and all of that, that's what I do.
Tell me more about your mastermind group. You started your own outside of Go Abundance, huh?
Yeah. So my mastermind group it's all about financial independence through real estate. And we're called the financial independent investors. Because my goal is to help them achieve financial independence. Because once you make money irrelevant, then you get to choose really like go and fulfill all of your passions, all of your dreams. without money being an issue or an obstacle, so that instead of saying, oh, I have to go to work, you get to go to work. You get to work on the things that you're passionate about. And that's a privilege from that perspective too. And you being able to have to make that happen. I feel like a lot of people never get to that level when they can get to do stuff because they make money irrelevant. Once you make money irrelevant, you get to even help more people because now you have time freedom, right? So first you go from money freedom to time freedom, then relationship freedom, and lastly, service freedom. And that's one thing that I learned from my mentor, Adam Carroll. But having those freedoms starts with you not having to need money from that perspective because it's covered by the assets of your passive income. So in the mastermind, we teach people how to buy rental properties, whether they're doing short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, out-of-state investing, getting lines of credit to continue buying more deals. And to give you an example, earlier this year, I bought, well, not this year, but last year in 2023, I bought my dream condo in Puerto Rico. And it was because I used a line of credit from my first house hack that I bought in 2014, line of credit from that to buy it as the down payment on my dream condo in Puerto Rico. That property, I put 10,000 down 10 years ago, for like nine years ago. And then now is paying for my condo in Puerto Rico. So that's been pretty cool to see. And we've had people that have become millionaires too in the community. Some people have retired their spouse. People have quit their jobs now and doing full-time real estate. So it's been really, really, really rewarding seeing that, helping them out. And one of my favorite parts too is that a lot of them are minority too. They're like immigrants that came here like me, people that they're the first one in their family to be able to know what real estate investing is and knowing that it's possible for them. So for me, it's very rewarding because I get to change a legacy for them. Like they get to change their legacy by having the right education and connecting with the right community.
I tell you what, it's like the best, I don't know, the best secret out there, tapping into the equity in your house through HELOCs and cash out refinances, the best tax-free money out there. And I've done it quite a few times with our own properties. We'll do the BRRRR strategy. We'll force equity into it and then pull that equity right back out with a cash out refinance and then go buy the next one. And we use HELOC on our primary home to do quick turnarounds, and it's interest only instead of principal and interest, and you just put it right back in there when it's done. But it's people wonder, how do I find the money to do these projects? Well, you can recycle your equity. No, I think it's fantastic. One thing I want to go back to, and I don't want to glaze over this, is that mindset. There was another framework, that belief statement that you said about I get to versus I have to, and I don't know if you've ever read The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker, but it is like right out of that his a fantastic book, where he is some kid from Texas who somehow snuck into Harvard, but he felt like it was a gift, like it was a privilege to be there, where everybody else at Harvard were all these alpha, top of their class kids from the most prestigious high schools, and they all became average. They were all about the same level there, and they were stressed out and here's this kid who thinks it's a privilege, and he's like, he said, I pictured it like a real life Hogwarts. So he loved it, and he did great, and it was easy for him because of his mindset. You're
That book is
absolutely
you
right.
mentioned The Happiness Advantage.
The happiness of
You mentioned that book is called The Happiness Advantage.
Yep.
Okay, I need to read that book.
Yeah. And it's one of my favorites. I've quoted and mentioned it all the time to my friends. I actually gave it as a gift for Christmas presents this year. It's a lot of fun to read, and he breaks down different mindset principles, that all have to do with happiness and success and productivity. But you're definitely tapping into one that getting rephrasing things to the point where if you are free when you get to do things versus I have to. And, it's like, I have to pick up the kids today from school because the buses aren't running. Or you could say, I get to pick up the kids and spend that time in the car talking about their day and just have that extra time to connect with them because the buses aren't running. Right? It's just about how we look at the situation.
Yes, yes. There's a quote. I don't know who said it. I think it was Dwayne Dyer, who said, no, I don't remember who it was, but it was like, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I'm a big believer that if we can just shift the framework, especially when we have an obstacle or like a challenge, right? There's two things. It's more of, this is something that I learned from one of my mentors, Rock Thomas, who says, when an obstacle happens, ask yourself, what is great about this? What is great about this? And having that mentality, I feel like has helped me look for more opportunities in being more empowered, like I mentioned earlier, rather than feeling like a victim. And also what Tony Robbins talks about too is like, you either ask yourself, why is life happening to me? Or you can ask yourself, why is life happening for me? And when you change that too, again, you're looking for solutions, not blaming other people. And I feel like a lot of people, they limit their growth because they feel like it's because of them that they cannot grow. But it's actually, if you take 100% responsibility and figure out a way to think that, why is life happening for me? I feel like you can switch and get to do things rather than having to do things, to bring it back to what you were talking about.
Life, success, the day to day, everything becomes so much easier and so much more manageable. In fact, it becomes more enjoyable, even the difficult parts and especially the difficult parts, when you shift that mindset from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me? Because you're that solutions, you're putting pieces of puzzles together, and it becomes a challenge. Like, you're in your own world. Where's Waldo? And you're just looking for looking for the solution in the red and white striped hat. But you are taking it a step further too. Instead of just saying, why is this happening for me? You're saying, why is this happening for me so I can teach others? And you're passing this along. In fact, wasn't it after the Bigger Pockets episode that your popularity really started to explode? And when people found out that you're a DACA, an immigrant, what is it? What do you call it?
Dreamer.
Immigrant.
Dreamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a dreamer.
Reaching
Yeah.
and saying, me too.
Exactly. People identify with the story. And by me sharing my story, it gives them the opportunity to be like, oh my gosh, there's more people like me in that have achieved what I want to achieve. So thankfully, I've been mentored, right, by the right people, with the guys in Abundance, for example. And I now get to see, now I say I don't have to, I get to share this with other people that maybe they weren't as lucky to get how I was lucky to get into that room. I get to do this and be able to share with them, help them out, just like my mentors helped me.
There are, when success leaves clues, right? And you found the clues others were picking up. And you found it for yourself, and you share it with others. So how are you helping others with this mastermind? You have these different lessons that you've learned that you're passing on to others. What are some of these simple foundational lessons? The pillars.
Yeah. I mean, simple foundationals. Yes, exactly. Exactly. No. So one of the things that I teach, apart from like the real estate investing part, right? Of the lessons learned, of doing due diligence, creating your team, the strategy, having the buy box, all that stuff. One of the things that I do teach is the things also that I believe gets people to become that person that achieves financial freedom. There are 6 key pillars. Number 1 is scheduling personal development, because your mindset is super important. Number 2 is knowing your finances, knowing how much money is coming in, how much money is coming out, tracking your net worth. And one of the things that we do in the mastermind is we give you the same net worth tracker that I use. Number 3 is understanding the peer group and your tribe, like the power of your tribe. Number 4 is goal setting with accountability. Number 5 is increasing your income. And number 6, the final one on becoming the person that achieves financial freedom, is investing for passive income. And that's one of the things that we do. All of that stuff, those are all of the tenets of the mastermind group that I have called the FI Investors. That's what I teach. That's what I love doing. And that is what has helped me in identifying what has helped the GoBundance guys get to where they are at today.
Yeah. I know those who have not found it yet. I could just hear it in in the back of my mind. Easy, the excuse being easier said than done. With every one of those pillars, every one of those foundations, it takes work, right? And that's part of it is, being in the right room with the right people who are doing it, because we have that rising tide lifting all boats. But then you got to be part of that rising tide. You got to help lift others, but you also have to put in the work for yourself. And I tell you what, yeah, you're no slouch when it comes to work. What's coming up on the horizon? Well, what are you most excited about in the new year?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. One of those is I'm working on a documentary called The Latin American Dream. I'm working with a movie producer who we're going to be co-producing it, and we're going to be interviewing 5 is myself and 4 other entrepreneurs that have a storyline similar of coming here, starting from zero. And they all have been, I'm the least successful of the group, and it is awesome because I'm going to learn so much from the other, from the other people. So I have that going on. We're recording this month. And then I'm also working on my book. And in the, it's going to be a little bit of my story on achieving financial freedom. But one of the things, the epiphanies that I've had is recently, as of yesterday, is like the book is going to be not just my story, because I like, even though there's a lot of, I like teaching, right? And I just don't want people to read this as okay, I'm going to read Diego's story. It's more, what can I learn from Diego's story? And I'm going to be teaching people how, like, the power of embracing the immigrant mindset so that anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an immigrant, to to go through these adversities. Like, there's a mindset to it that comes, and anybody can anybody can get to that. So those are going to be things that I'm going to be writing in my book, as I share from not being able to work or drive a car when I was 22 to 23, meeting the millionaires. I got invited to fly on David Osborne's private plane 2 weeks after I met him. My mind was blown. To then me speaking outside Congress, outside the Senate, and getting invited to the White House last year, to then me becoming a multimillionaire by the time I turned 30. So there's a lot of stuff that has been going on, but I get to teach that in a way that that no matter what background, what circumstances, what your adversities were, you need to, number one, have the right peer group, take the right action, and not let your circumstances define you. And those are the things that I'm going to be writing in my book.
That's incredible. I think it's extraordinary that you've gone from nothing to creating so much success for you, and not just in your life, but for others. You're creating not just millions, but millionaires. So, I commend you. I thank you for adding value into your community, and you've definitely added value to me and my community as well. So thank you very much. I wish you all the best with these endeavors in the new year. I think it's fantastic. I'm excited for it.
Yes, no, thank you. And I look forward to staying in touch. And I know that you're also going to be a guest in my mastermind here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that too.
I can't wait. That'll be fantastic. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think we should?
Anything that we didn't cover? No. I mean, if people want to reach out to me, they can reach out to me on Instagram at Real Diego Corzo, at Real Diego Corzo. I answer questions. I'm there sharing a lot of good content, share my tip of the day. And then if they want to learn more about the mastermind, they can, of course, reach out to me on Instagram, or they can go to the website, defiinvestors.com, defiinvestors.com. And if they do want to learn just a little bit more about what I was sharing on the 6 keys to become the person that achieves financial freedom, they can download a free email course by going to keys2fi.com. That is keys2fi.com.
And we'll have those links in the show notes. Diego, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. This was,
of course,
as fulfilling a conversation for me as our first conversation as a run in Maui. So I appreciate it. I always enjoy our interactions.
Exactly. No, that is awesome. That's awesome, Aaron. And for me, it was the same way. I remember you asked me. I remember we were getting dinner, and you said, "Hey," or you asked me, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go for a run." And you asked, "Can I join?" And I was like, "Sure." And that's when you told me, "Don't worry, I have this thing that allows me to run the right way." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And I think we ran for over an hour, so that was fun.
You know what? Talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. Try leading a blind guide down the road for the very first time. So congratulations for that. And thanks. I needed the run.
For real.
All right, Diego.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate.
Take care. We will be in touch. Bye, Aaron.
Take care, my friend. Talk to you soon.